Hey, what's going on, guys? It's Ed. All right, I've had a lot of questions about this. Actually, this is probably the most frequent question I get about the templates, and that has to do with the print cover templates and how to use them with CreateSpace. So I'm going to do a little tutorial here and go ahead and show you the process. Okay, I've laid this out in the Facebook group a few times in text, but I haven't gotten on ScreenFlow and recorded a video. So I'm going to do that right now. All right. So first thing here, I just opened a random one of our templates, this one here, and the other thing you do is when you publish, if you publish to CreateSpace, you know you can go to, they're going to give you a template for your artwork. And you go here, and I have to go back because I went ahead and did this, and it'll be blank, and you pick what your book is going to be when you upload it to CreateSpace. So, you know, you pick whatever layout you chose. Now, all of our templates, just because it, you know, everything's different with print because it's actual size and it's print and it's, you know, like the spine width could, it varies from book to book. If your page is 100, if your book is 100 pages, your spine's going to be thinner than if your book is 200 pages, and so on and so on. So what you have to do is once you have your CreateSpace book uploaded and ready to go with your PDF file, you go to this page here and you enter the size and how many pages it is. So let's all of our templates, because it's the most popular, are 6x9 with this 2/3 of an inch spine width. All right, and you can see that template underneath our template if I turn it all off. Now what you want to do when you're doing your own cover is going to be a little different. You don't want to work in this file necessarily. So what you're going to do is, like I said, you're going to go to CreateSpace, choose, let's say, like I said, all of ours are 6x9, but let's try a different one just to mix it up. So you're going to go black and white, and let's go 5x8, and let's say 100 pages white, and we'll build a template. All right, then you're going to click here to download it. It'll download. It's taking a second here. All right. Now that should be right here. I can go ahead and unzip that. Should show up right on my desktop. Your computer might be different. There we go. All right. Now this is going to give me a PNG and a PDF file. Either one is fine, okay, to open up in Photoshop. I'll go ahead, choose that. I'm going to open this in, I don't know why I have two Photoshops showing up. I guess it's this one. All right, I'm going to go ahead and open it. So now this will give me another file. You can see how thin my spine is with only 100 pages. All right. So what I would do here is the easiest thing to do is to select all of these, okay, here. And then I'm going to right click on this file, which is 11.psd. That's this R template, and move it to a new window. And this will just kind of open in a new window that's not attached to the bar here. And then what I can do here is, with this all still selected, see how all these layers are selected here? I can just I can hit the left button on my mouse, so you see it selected all those. All right. Now, what did I do to do that? All right. I clicked here, I held shift, and you can go one by one, or if you click the top one, hold shift and click the bottom one, it'll select all those layers. All right. So now I come back in here, make sure this is selected. Okay, I'm going to left click on all of these because now I have all of them. See how they all move? All right, and then I'm going to drag them into this other file, and you'll see what happens. Everything from that other Photoshop window, which is right here now, all right, dragged into my 5x8 template. So everything's going to be a little bigger. All right. Now what I have to do with all of these is get them to fit on this template, which is going to take a little bit of work, but it's not work. You know what I mean? It's just going to take a little bit of effort. Now the easiest thing to do, it shouldn't mess things up too bad, especially with a small, is to, instead of going individually, okay, I can individually say like with war, you know, or let's say the title here. I could take that, open that folder and just make war smaller. All right, but what I'd rather do is see if I can just, you want the easiest way possible. So I want to go ahead, just like I did before, select the top one, hold shift, select the bottom one, have all these layers. If I come up here to the top and hold shift while I do this, so I'll hit the shift key and then slowly, it's going to ask me, that's fine. Yeah, that's fine. Okay to all. All right, so what I'm going to do is hold shift and slowly decrease the size of this. Now I'm holding shift so it keeps everything, the aspect ratio, the same. All right, now I'm going to double click on that layer to apply it. Okay, and then I'm going to try to fit everything on here. All right, now what you might have to do is do every layer slightly like individually so they all fit. So like one thing I can do right off the bat probably is get rid of the barcode. All right, but I'll leave that for now. So let's say I want this all in the background. You can see doesn't really fit. So if I select this background, what I want to do here is now I only have the background folder selected. So I'm going to hold shift and increase the size a little bit. All right. Now I might have to get to the point where I take individual, okay, take individual parts of this and have to turn them off so I can see how they line up. And then you can start to see how the cover was put together. All right, so now I just have this background here, so I can start to like move that. And you don't have to worry about like overlapping. So if I want this there, I can go right up to that dotted line there. All right, and then this will give me that little leather bound look on the cover. And then I can turn the back on, and now this layer 1 it's called, okay, I can move it that way. All right, and what else I have to do is I also have my spine, which is right there. So you can see that kind of lays over, but I might have to turn this off, then reselect the spine. You know, I might have to line it up this way so everything kind of fits like that. All right, now if I turn that back on, I have my cover. All right, my background of my cover. I've turned this image on, this image back on, and this image back on. Okay, I might have to resize some of those so they fit, and we'll get to that a little later. So now let me turn on the author name. So the author, let's say I select that folder. I'm going to hold shift, make it a little bigger, all the elements there. Okay, double click so it applies, and then kind of rearrange it there. All right, now the title. The title actually looks okay. So maybe I just hold the shift key, move it down a little bit. All right. The spine's not gonna, it's gonna be too big because we went from 6x9 with a 2/3 of an inch spine to a very small spine. This spine, if we look on the back here, is not even a 1/4 of an inch thick because it's only 100 pages. So now we're going to have to make an adjustment there. If you're publishing a thin book like this, you're going to have a really small spine. So you might not be able, you know, like with this here, we have like these fancy, you might have to do some adjustments and just go with a more simple version of this spine title. All right. But what I can do is you see the spine title, and I'll turn the background so we can see it a little better. All right, so now I can hold shift and just kind of, you know, that's just because I don't have the updated font. All right, and I can hold shift and kind of decrease the size. All right, now like I said, this title in particular, you see it applies because we're using, it might not because we have these effects on the text, like you see here with this layer style here. It might not look very good on a really small spine like this book. So we might have to go in and actually mess with the actual font itself. All right, so it looks okay. Like we might have to decrease the size of the font down to, let's say, 12. All right, and then increase the spacing and stuff like that. And then we want to keep that kind of uniform. And what we can do here so we can see it is zoom in. All right, so you might have to do some kind of detailed work here and adjust it. Now the arrow keys are always best. All right, and now I'm going to go back because one of the things I want to make sure I do is kind of keep the changes uniform. So I'm going to select the, war, and veteran. Those three. Hold the shift, click on the top one. That's how I'm doing that and selecting all of them. Now I can change the font for all of those to say 12, and you see how they all got smaller now. And I can change the spacing for all of them. Let's see if it'll let me do that. Let's say I put 20 there. That's the spacing between the tracking, between the characters, the letters in each word. So you see that gave me a little. Let's try 60. Okay, now you can see there's a little more black space between each word. Let's try 100. Okay, good. That's a little better. So now I'm going to go ahead and let me get rid of this background, turning it off. And now I want to fit this. Okay, and you're seeing where my dotted lines are. I want to try to be in that white space there. All right, you see white area equals live area, red area. Okay, and that what'll happen is if you're too much on the red, all right, that's where the dotted lines are where the folds are at. So if you're too much on that red, you might be on the fold, so you'll have the bottom part of your word like bending over the front or the back of your book. Now, most of you are publishing books that are more than 100 pages. Maybe this was a bad example, but this is a good way to learn is by having to do a worst case scenario. All right, so what I can do now is go back to the spine title, choose these three, and let's just decrease this font size again. Let's go down to like 11 point, and you'll see the font get smaller, and maybe we'll go to 10 point. All right, so that's looking a little better. Let's increase the spacing between the letters to 120. Give us a little more space. Now I can start to see things coming together. Now, because these are all different layers, okay, what I might have to do is move them individually. So you see, if I choose I can inch it down with my arrow key, inch, 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 and then veteran, I can inch that up the spine so it spaces. That looks okay. All right, because they're separate layers. Now your file might have one layer for the title, and you can keep it as one layer. All right. The other thing you can do is just so you have a title on here, because this layer effect, I might just want to go here and like if you see I go to and I right click and I go to, where's it at? Clear layer style. That'll clear the layer style, and then you can't see it because it's white on white, but like if I choose red here, it'll get rid of that fancy text effect. So if I just want a real simple text on my title spine here, I can go with this and let's make it, well, the background's going to be white. So you'll see when I turn this back on, all right, you see now, instead of that fancy text, I just have the white simple text, all right? And if I want to add that, I can go back to veteran, click copy layer style, then go back to and click paste layer style, and you'll see that'll change from the white, simple white, to that, bubbled with the shadows and all that gray text effect. All right, so this is still a little too big. Let me go back here, select all of these again, and I'm going to have to make this font just really small. I just want to make it fit. All right, that should fit good. Get rid of the background. You can see it's almost perfectly on the white. Maybe it overlaps a little, but that's why you have proof copies. All right, you can order one on CreateSpace for a couple dollars. They'll ship it to you, and then you can take a look at your book and see what it's going to look like when somebody buys it. Always do that, always, so you can actually see what your book looks like. All right, so I inch this more veteran up, and you know what, just so I have this straight, I'm going to go one size smaller. All right, so you see we really have to squeeze that text in there. All right, put my background back on. All right, I'm going to go ahead and move down a few spaces and move veteran up a few spaces, and probably needs to come down a little more, and veteran probably needs to go up a little more. All right, so now you can see starting to come together. Now I've got my, what is this, men who stand, okay, so now I need to find that. Where is that on here? That's this here. All right, that layer. So now I'm going to go ahead and decrease the side of that just so I have an even number to 8. That's fine. You might not have that. It's just replacing the text. All right, let me go ahead and just randomly choose a different font. Yeah, it's not going to matter. We're not actually publishing this, but Arial. There we go. That's a good font that'll look good at a small size. I'll decrease the size, turn my background off a little bit, and now I can move this. Now, like if you're trying to fit it in a tight space, you might be better using the arrow keys on your keyboard instead of the mouse, but I was able to fit it in there on the mouse so you can see it fits good there. Okay, turn my background back on, turn my author back on. I'm going to zoom back out so I can see a little better. No, fit on screen. All right, I'd like to be a little further back, but this will be fine. Let's see if I can zoom out just a little more. There we go. All right, so starting to come together. Okay, we're starting to fit it up to our, okay, you'll notice one thing here. All right, now maybe you like this going onto your back cover, maybe you don't, but you can see on my background, all right, you see this layer here in like the foreground with the fields and whatnot. All right, that's this image right here. See that image is running, the shadow of it, part of it is running onto our back cover. So I'm going to hold shift and I'm going to slightly decrease it. And you see some of the things you run into here. I'm going to double click it to apply, and now I'm going to have to move it up a little bit. All right, so now it's not running onto the back. The other thing I can do is, you know, move one layer in front of the other. So like if I turn this layer, like if I take this layer, or where's the spine? You can see the spine is here, so that's actually above this. So if I didn't have the spine there, it wouldn't run over. Or if the spine was layer 2, which is the spine behind that, you would see it kind of overlap. But because the spine is over top of it, it'll sit on top. All right, just slightly. It's just a slight little thing. All right, but it can make a big difference on making your book professional or not. All right. All right, so it's starting to come together. We fixed that little glitch we had there. Now the other thing you'll notice here, if you look really closely, okay, because we adjusted the size, his shoulder now, because it's cut from a photo, we wanted that shoulder to run up all the way to the edge of the spine. So now I'm going to come here. That's this layer here. I'm just going to slightly increase the size right up there so it comes right to the spine, so we get that full effect. And you can see how it's starting to come together here. It sits there, and I might even want to come a little further because there's a little bitty line there. So I can come a little further. Remember, when I'm increasing the size of these so I don't mess with the aspect ratio of the photos, I'm holding shift every time I increase the size. So I can come a little further than I want. Why? Because the spine is going to overlap. Okay, the spine is in front of this. You can see if I turn it off, you'd see a little bit of that shadow, but because the spine is on top, it's going to make that black part right there, so I can come over a little bit. All right, so now it's lining up pretty good. All right, let me zoom back out here. Fit on screen. I'm just using the little zoom tool here, and I'm hitting right click and then either zooming out or fit on screen. All right, so you can understand what I'm doing without watching my hand here. You can't see, you know, what I'm doing. All right, so now I have my back text. So I'm pretty much done here with the front. Pretty simple. I got my front, I got the spine, I adjusted things. All right, maybe I want to lower the author name a little bit looking at it. So I come down and I'm holding shift. Let me see, hold shift and just pull it straight down. That looks a little better. All right. Now let's go back to the back spine. So here you have the war veteran. You can see that doesn't really fit. We'll turn everything on and you'll see it all looks just like a little too big and it's out of place. All right. So you don't need to use the sample barcode because as you'll see, CreateSpace is going to give you an area here that's going to tell you that's where the barcode goes. Now you could go ahead and line up the sample so you know what it looks like. I'm on the wrong layer here. There we go. Like you could line that up there and increase the size, but you know, that'll just give us a general idea where it's going to be. All right. Put my background on. All right, so now it's starting to come together. It's looking good, actually. You can see a few things when we decrease the size, they don't line up right. So now we're going to have to move some stuff around, maybe increase, decrease the size. Let's start with this bottom area here. Okay, let's take the little publishing logo and we'll open this folder, Your Publishing Inc. And we'll move the shape too, so we'll just move that whole folder. So I select the folder, I'm going to decrease this, and Photoshop will give you these little areas so things line up, these purple pink lines, so to tell you what it's centered. All right, I kind of like that. Then I'll take, I don't know what layer, soldier copy, that's part of the background. All right, so I'm going to take that and move it, and I'm going to move that to like right there. All right. And then that pretty much just leaves me with this. Now it looks okay. Now the simple thing to do, okay, war veteran and about the author, and where's our other, what layer is this? Sheepish, okay, that's all this text. All right, so the size isn't too bad. Maybe it's a little small, so let's decrease it to 9-point font so it fits. All right, yeah, I don't know, let's go to 10. All right, that's okay, and let's just go ahead and try to center it here. All right, we'll get a little bit, I'm looking for the pink line to show up in the middle. That'll tell me I'm the center. I'll be a little to the left of center. All right, so that's pretty close. Now I want to center this layer, so I'm right clicking, choosing that name of the layer, and if I move it to the left, it should, I want to try to center it. The other thing you can do here, all right, I lined it up pretty good by hand, eyeballed it. All right, the other thing you can do to make sure it's perfect is if you make sure this layer is chosen and the sheepish, helpfully this layer here, this text layer, I'm going to go ahead and move those so they're next to each other. All right, I'm going to select both of them. I'm going to select this layer, see how it's on that. I'm going to select this layer by holding shift and clicking it with my mouse. So I have both of them, and I can come up here to align, it's this one here, align horizontal centers, I believe, and that'll line them up perfectly, so center to center, so it's absolutely perfectly aligned. All right, and you can also do vertical centers if you're going the other way. I want to just space this up a few spaces. All right, now I have to deal with my little author picture and all that. About the author, that's in a separate folder. The simplest thing to do here is I'm going to try to see if I can get away with doing this all at once. I'm going to hold shift again, bring this in a little bit, decrease the size just a little tiny bit. All right, now I want to try and center it. There you can see now I'm centered with those. If I bring it up a little bit, it'll center it, say, maybe I want to center with the title, okay? Or I can, it should give me a space where I'm equal distance between the bottom and the top. It's not doing it, but let's go ahead. I kind of like that. Maybe, yeah, that's not bad. All right, and there you go. All right, so now I take this. Now, pretty sure when you upload this to CreateSpace, what you're going to do, turn this sample barcode off because you don't want that on there. Okay, that's just there as a sample. Now what you're going to want to do also is make sure you don't have anything that overlaps. Now one thing I'm seeing right here, our little logo here, we might have to move that in to the right here because see how we're on the pink, we're on the red there, we don't want that. All right, so now I'm going to have to go ahead and move that. That's publishing. All right, and I can just go ahead and use the little arrows, get it off so none of it is on the pink orange area. Turn my background back on. All right, and now you can see, all right, you want to just make sure you've got all of that. All right, so pretty simple. It takes a little bit of work. I don't know where I'm at here. About 25 minutes. I was going slow. I also didn't do it perfect, but you saw I didn't really have to do a whole lot of things manually. I didn't have to go in and change a lot of things. I just kind of had to rearrange it and resize it. Like I said, make sure when you resize these, you hold shift so you don't lose. Okay, the other thing you can do as well is a lot of these are grouped into folders, okay, like the about the author section, the last section I did, and I can take that entire section as long as it's selected here in the layers panel, and I can hold the shift key and increase all of these layers that are in there. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 layers that are in. There's 6 layers that are in there. All right. No. There's 4 layers that are in there. These 4 layers. All right. And you can see I can increase or decrease the size. So I can make them really big. Okay. I can make them really small. Okay. And then all I do is double left click on that to apply it. And if I screw something up, that's my dog barking, of course. If I screw something up, I just come up here to edit. I take a step backward, and then it'll come right back to where I was at before. So, and then I can say move it, align it, just like that. All right. All right. So if you have any more questions about this little stuff, let me know. This should help. It's not a full step-by-step tutorial, but it shows you my process of doing one cover, and then once you've done one or two, you'll kind of get a feel for it, and you can practice. Like I said, then you upload this to CreateSpace, order yourself a proof copy, and go from there. Make sure everything lines up. When I do CreateSpace books, I'm really picky. So like if the spine is just a little off, I go into Photoshop, I fix it. Yeah, it's a pain in the butt, but I want my book to look like, all my books to look like they were done by, so no, someone who orders it doesn't know that it was the guy in his office doing the book and not some like big publishing company. So I hope this helps. Hope this kind of shows you a few little things you can do to adjust the CreateSpace cover. And if you have questions, leave them for me in the Facebook group. That's the easiest way to do it, because then I don't have to answer like the same question 50 times to 50 different people. I can answer it once in Facebook, and then the next time someone asks that question, I can say, hey, go check out Facebook. I already answered it. You know what I mean? All right, so let me know what you think. Let me know if this was a help or not, and I'll talk to you later.